It is 12:59. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. Beginning today in the NFL, teams can designate franchise tags on select players. Some of the big-name candidates included are Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, and Saquon Barkley. College basketball AP Top 25 came out yesterday. The Vols will be in action tonight after going down a spot to number 11 in the country. Tennessee dropped one spot after a week where they knocked off number 1 Alabama and lost at Kentucky. Tonight, the Vols head to Texas A&M, a 6 p.m. tip-off. Tennessee currently the 4 seed in the SEC standings. Hear the Vol Network call right here on The Zone. The Nashville Predators will round out their homestand tonight, hosting the Vancouver Canucks. Nashville has slipped to 7 points out from the final wildcard spot in the West. Puck drop at Bridgestone Arena will be at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. What's up? Happy Tuesday to everybody. Happy Tuesday, Lucas and Blaine. Y'all got to hold down the fort without me yesterday, man. I had this big day of nothing planned, and turns out the dentist was open yesterday. I had to take my son to the first appointment of the day, so I might as well have just come on down here and talked about the XFL with you guys. Tennessee basketball, Vanderbilt basketball, but enjoyed a little time off, and I know you guys held down the fort. And this whole thing with the XFL, did you guys get a chance to watch any of it? Blaine, Lucas was asking me, did I get to see any of it? So they brought back all the wild rules from, well, they're kind of borrowing, I guess, some from the USFL and some of their own. But there's a rule, the coach can challenge anything one time per game rule. Anything they want, one time per game, they can challenge it. If the NFL doesn't do that, they have to do it, right? And I think they're guinea pigging some things with the XFL that maybe they can try. But coaches can challenge anything one time per game. Also, St. Louis, the Battle Hawks, who have A.J. McCarron, you know, Lucas's favorite all-time Alabama quarterback, they're down late in a game. They scored a touchdown. Then they ran a 3-point conversion play from the 10. So then instead of an onside kick, they did the thing that the NFL talked about a couple of years where you get 4th and 15 from your own 25 instead of an onside kick. They converted that. Then they scored a touchdown and won a wild XFL game.
I don't know. Did you watch it? I didn't watch any of it.
I went back and watched. Here's how sick I am. I didn't get to see it because I was doing like family stuff in Arkansas. I went back and watched all the highlights, read game accounts. And I thought, I got to make notes about this stuff because the coach gets to challenge. Do you like that? The coach gets to challenge anything one time per game. Anything.
Yeah, pretty much. That works for me. Yeah. Only one time, though. It can't be slowing the game down. So he has to hold in his pocket when he's going to make that kind of challenge. So, yeah, I like that one. I think the NFL, they should definitely take that one on. Well, they already have challenges. So I don't know how different that is. Can they challenge it? They can challenge any time.
Targeting, pass interference, they can challenge one thing, anything.
So what are the NFL challenges already? I mean, I know he's challenging you only get one per half, right?
One per half.
But you can challenge anything, right? No, you cannot.
Not pass interference or targeting. Or
yeah, you definitely can't do pass interference. I challenge that all day long.
Or like where you flop on the quarterback. If the ref says that's what happened, then that's what happened. And it may be hard for the NFL to admit they made a mistake. Like, nah, he flopped. We're gonna go. But just the thought, because
I don't know if you can challenge anything. So let's go back to holding. And I'm not talking about it in the secondary. I'm talking about like they call holding on the offensive line.
You could challenge it.
Yeah, right. I think that's so arbitrary, and I think that could cause some problems because it's almost like whether you're telling me that I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't know if they'll ever get there. No, I don't think they're going to make that happen. I really don't. As much as I wish they would, I don't think they'll ever let that happen. No, I definitely are all in for that, but that won't happen. Yeah, they won't let that happen. I wish they'd definitely let them challenge the holding and pass interference in the secondary because those are spot fouls and it's not like a 15-yard penalty like in in college, so it can really impact a game. And sometimes the receiver is drawing the contact, and the DB has no choice. He's looking for the ball, and if the receiver draws the contact, they may call pass interference if the ball gets there right on time, but he had nothing to do with the contact. So, and it's a bang bang, so you can miss that easily. But yeah, that won't happen. I don't think it'll ever happen in the NFL. There's a lot of the rules I think I like, but that one there, I like the kickoff rule. That was, I don't think they'll do that either.
Remember, they did that in the USFL last year, and we all came back in raving about it. So
that.
Everybody's 10 yards apart except for the kicker and the returner, and the kicker kicks to the returner, and when he catches the ball, then everybody could move. I thought that was fascinating. They're doing that too.
So yeah, it was. I had it on, but I wasn't watching. I was in and out because there were so many games that were on. Kind of got lost in which game I was really watching. It was was a break from just the NFL, so it was kind of like, oh, okay. And then after the UT debacle in basketball, it was just like, okay, what to watch? So I got free time. Let's go. Let's go run around.
Do you like the 3-point conversion from the 10-yard line?
I never did see it. Did they do that?
They did it. That's how A.J. McCarron and the Battlehawks were able to come back and win the game. They got the 3-point conversion that helped them.
With me trying to see it in game, it kind of would. I don't know what my position. They were lining the ball up at what you can go for 3 points from 15 yards or something. Where was the mark?
From the 10.
From the 10. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, why not? I would make it actually further. 15. I think give it 10. I think give them 15. That way, it'll help the offense. They'll have more field to work with to get a 3-pointer. But
I went back last night.
What about you, Lucas? Did you watch all this?
I didn't get a chance to see the comeback, but I caught some of it on Sunday, and the big thing was the crowds. Crowds were awesome. From everything I saw, the stands were packed, and there's beer snakes going around, and it just makes it fun. Like when you're watching people having fun,
it was a great atmosphere.
Yeah, that changes things. The USFL, that's obviously what it was missing.
Yeah,
logistically, it made sense. Don't fly teams around, all those costs, but the environments were so sterile, and it was just football, which is fine. But when you're seeing thousands of people having fun, it just makes it more enjoyable to watch.
The key is you have to go to places that love sports and don't have NFL, or someplace like St. Louis where they felt like they got jilted. They got an Edward Jones Dome. They got a big empty dome to play the stadiums in or to play the games in. So, and those people like football there. I mean, it's San Antonio. There's all kinds of different places where they put it where people are hungry for football. So, in everything that I went back and watched, I'm like you. I love seeing the crowds. I'll ask you guys about this: the 4th and 15 rule. So, if you score a touchdown, instead of onside kicking to get the ball back, you essentially get a 4th and 15 at your own 25. The NFL, I went back. I got rabbit holed on this last night. In 2019, this came up. And I guess they tabled it until 2020, and then they voted on it in 2020 or 2021 or both, and it essentially got turned down. But this was another way. They actually converted it. So I found a chart. NFL teams convert 21.9% of the time on 4th and 15. 21.9% of the time. So maybe you'd have to make it 4th and 17 or something to make it a little harder. But
you think that's high?
Compared to onside kicks, I think that's high. Because those never seem to work anymore.
With the rule changes, onside kicks are almost impossible at this point.
Yeah, it just seems like if they, we're going to be safe with the players. You can't even onside kick, right? You might as well not. So, yeah, I'd be open to that. That's cool.
It puts so much, like the coach having one play a game they can challenge. To me, it just puts a lot of strategy in the game. And the 4th and 15 puts some more strategy just because I think more people would try it,
Well, I think this is where the NFL will be somewhat similar to Major League Baseball. They're going to kind of stick to certain rules they're just not going to change. Like the thing they put the camera in, which Kern kicked and hit, they put that in, and now, the USFL kind of started that. So I just don't think they're going to go all in. First of all, it's going to be like everybody saw these leagues do it, and I just don't feel like they want to be copycat for what it's worth. even if it's a good rule. So yeah, and I think they're happy about at least I'm anxious to see where these leagues go and do the NFL kind of use those leagues or buy out one and kind of use them as a farm league for the NFL, in particular quarterback, but all the positions, and then expand their rosters. That's ultimately where I want the NFL. That's one of probably the main rule I want to get changed. I want them to expand the roster. I don't know how far you go. And some people say, well, they expanded the practice squad roster. I'm talking about on game day, how many guys can actually dress. I think that would eliminate a lot of all these injuries. Now you got guys who are already there. But I think they like the part of seeing if you can manage your roster and who you bring up. And we've given you a practice squad and elevated and made that bigger. And so I just want game day roster to be even bigger. I don't want to see a game where the third string quarterback is some backup receiver. And that could potentially happen. It's happened before, just a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the main rule I want to change as far as NFL. What they do in these other leagues, these are all things to draw eyeballs and attention to their league and to see that we do things different. And if you like them or don't like them, you're still going to tune in just to watch and see what the league, the rule changes are and see if they can actually work, So, yeah, it's all cool. I'm just grateful for all the guys getting opportunities to play. It just shows you how many guys out there really trying to make it, and some former guys who, I saw Beasley out there, and Big Beasley. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
So he does want to play football. Remember, that was a big deal. Oh, he's not serious about football. I'm like, huh? This dude's playing, a lower level league.
McCarron, another guy who, spent 5-6 years in the NFL, won 2 national championships at Alabama. A couple of my Arkansas State dudes kind of got their career resurrected out of the USFL last year, so it can definitely happen.
I saw Ball State's quarterback Plitt was out there.
Really?
Yeah,
he was a good college football player.
Wow, he did all right, I guess. I watched a little bit of that game. I think he plays for Arlington, maybe. I don't know which team it was, but yeah, he was out there, had it on. I was like, oh, dang, there you go. Because he was with the Bengals, and I thought he was going to actually I thought he was on their practice squad, so he probably was. I don't know. Maybe got cut eventually at some point. But, yeah.
You mentioned a third quarterback. Why the NFL doesn't have just if you're not going to expand the roster, just make a 54th roster spot that everybody can have a third quarterback. And he can always be active on game day no matter what. I mean, everybody has a third quarterback, and he doesn't have to count. He's player 54 is your third quarterback, and he can always be active on game day. You don't have to play the numbers game with him, because we had to watch a playoff game this year where the 49ers ran out of quarterbacks. And like you said, nobody wants to see that.
Yeah. I mean, and that was a good example, because now we're talking about in the playoffs, and I know the NFL doesn't want that there. So, yeah, that's maybe they'll put that rule in the way you just mentioned it. The third quarterback is always available. Regardless, he just doesn't count against the 53. He can make it 54, but he's the third guy. So, yeah, that'd be a good way to go about it.
Isn't it amazing, though, that the schedule got expanded? And like you keep saying, it's going to keep expanding. It'll be 18, then it'll just go to 20. And they managed to keep the roster size the same. Managed to keep the roster at 53. Same for the game day roster, right?
No, we want to keep the players safe. I mean, stop listening to their words and their actions tell you everything. They're not. This is a big time business, and hey, man, you just gotta roll with the punches. But let's be honest, it's a violent game, and if you're going to expand the scheduling with games, then you need to expand the rosters. I really believe that. Maybe the NFL will get to the point where they're like the NBA, and you have these managing days for vets.
Load management.
Load management days. Dudes will be looking around like, what? They're going to pay me and I don't have to play?
Right.
Oh, okay. And nothing's wrong with me. I mean, like, I could still play.
No, man, you just coming off a back-to-back.
Yeah. We going to play this other, the guy. He's a backup, and then we're going to elevate another guy for the practice squad. We're just going to give you a longer rest, get ready for the playoffs. Load management.
Load management, man. Ain't nothing like the NBA.
Hey.
Speaking of that, something from the NBA caught my attention this weekend. Boy, did it catch my attention. Maybe it caught yours too. What caught your attention? We do that on Tuesdays. Lots going on in the sports world. 615-737-1045, Zone TV chat. You can hit us in there, or you can tweet us at Blaine and Mickey. What caught your attention? That's next. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. It's rolling smooth through a Tuesday afternoon. What caught your attention? 615-737-1045 on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline.
Ooh, what you know about some boogie oogie woogie?
Oh man, this baseline.
I know
right
that's
here.
your jam.
You do?
I know that Taste of Honey, and I think Casey and the Sunshine Band will get Blaine going.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, certain little things, man. It sure did.
Oh,
yeah.
Boogie Oogie Oogie, man.
That was back in the day.
100% of the time, that one works 100%
Watch
of the
this.
time.
Oh man, we have not been doing the Mickey deal. Like, what year was that made?
Remember, we went through this one. We actually had this one time, and you asked me.
And you don't remember?
No, it was 78 or 79 because it won a Grammy.
Yep, we talked about it. 78.
78.
Yep.
They won like Best New Artist. They
Yeah.
won a Grammy that year and beat a bunch of like people who wound up having sustained careers, as I remember.
Yeah, that's right. I remember dancing to that at 5 years old. Yeah. Boogie, oogie, oogie.
Oh,
Yeah, man. That put me on the map with the fam. Mm-hmm. Go, Woody.
You had all your aunts in the room watching you dance.
Oh,
Family
man.
functions.
Oh, man, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I want to know,
dang.
did they dance with you, or were you just like,
Oh
little
no,
Woody
they
there
were
dancing
definitely
by
up
yourself?
dancing. Yeah, they
Was
were
it still in your chunky baby days, or had you grown out of that?
Of course. Oh no, I was still chunky then.
Oh, that's how
5
you
years
became
old,
Woody.
yeah.
Woodchuck.
Yeah, that's what I was. Oogie Woogie Woody. Yeah, woodchucking.
When did they shorten Woodchuck to just Woody? Because I like to think of someone like going, hey, are you going to bring Woodchuck over today? Or does somebody have Woodchuck's
Oh
document?
no, that woodchuck was probably by the time I was 2. It was gone. That was more my mom than anything else. But yeah, Woody was pretty much it with everybody. Yeah,
I was just hoping that came by the time you were like 7 or something. But
Nah.
you were like 6-year-old Woodchuck. Like your mom opening the door at supper time going, Woodchuck, get in here.
That was more my mother, and she was the oldest, and then my grandmother, her mother. So yeah.
What did your grandmother call you? Woody or Woodchuck?
No, she called me Woody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang, man. I've gone my whole life knowing you, just hoping that Woodchuck stuck like well into your young days. Like a young Woodchuck out there on the football field, running down the field and people yelling, go Woodchuck.
Oh no, they was all Woody Bishop. Yeah,
Dang
Woody
it.
Bishop, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was it though. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that just caught my attention.
Oh.
That definitely did.
Nicknames, right? That fade away.
Well, yours just evolved. So mine was Mickey from the day I was born and never changed. Just always Mickey. I mean, we had this discussion too. Mine was my dad was Steve and he had a brother named Mike, and then I had a cousin Steve and a cousin Mike, and my name is Stephen Michael. But
Yeah, but by the way,
too
I just
confusing.
learned that was your real name because you kind of skipped that before the last time. Stephen Michael.
Stephen Michael
Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephen Michael. Man, do you think one of them would have worked better or in the music industry?
No, just because Mickey's kind of I should have changed the name to something weird though.
Right.
Like MIKKI or something like that. But no, I mean, I didn't have enough talent for my name to help me make it.
Oh,
My lack of talent
You
couldn't
definitely
overcome
had
my
talent.
lack of
It
a cool name.
well,
so.
it was because of your name. That's what it was. It had nothing to do with talent.
Maybe so.
You had to have a catchy name, and then they was all start remembering.
Woody Bishop, though, sounds like somebody who'd be like a fantastic saxophone player.
Oh,
Like if
man,
you were
I
in
wish.
New Orleans and you're like, hey, man, we're going to go
I
down to this
wish.
jazz room tonight and see Woody Bishop, people would be like, oh, dang,
Man, I wish I could have.
count me in.
I wish I could play any instrument. I couldn't play a instrument for the life of me. Only a bass drum.
Bass
that was
drum,
it.
though, I was going to say, don't
but-
count yourself out. You played the bass drum in military school.
That was easy. I'm just left, right. I mean, up 2, 3, 4, you left, right, left. That was all I had to do. That was it. And I learned that on the fly
This
because
was the
I did
March-
not play an instrument to go to. I had to go to Colville Military Academy. I had to be part of one of the groups, and so I told him I did not want to be in the athletic group. I wanted to be in something else because
Okay.
I want to challenge myself as something else.
Sure.
This is when I'm in probably 6th, 7th grade. And so they put me in the drummer bugle corps. They said, "What do you not do?" I said, I don't sing. I don't play any instrument." They was like, "Yep, we're gonna put you in the drummer bugle corps, and the best instrument that you can learn the quickest is the bass, and you can carry it, and then you get a workout in." I'm like, "Oh, crap."
You toted a bass drum around Culver Military Academy all summer long.
I
huh?
did.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
did for 3 years. Yeah, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Oh, you never even switched out of it. You were like, give me another round
Nope,
of this
I
the next
wanted
summer.
it again. Yeah,
Oh, man.
I started embracing it and loving it. Yeah, yeah. It was just hard to do push-ups too with the base on too, so I could get out of that.
You could just roll over the top of it.
No, I had to give him 20.
Russell says Mickey has 3 first names. I never knew anybody with the first name Ryan until I was probably in high school. I didn't meet people. I never thought about that as another first name. Stephen, Michael, and Ryan. But yes, many people tell me that I have multiple first names.
Yeah, you do.
When Ryan is your last name, you don't think of it as a first name because your name's not Ryan.
Right.
But Russell, you're right. But Russell's a first and a last name. I know people last name Russell.
Yeah.
But nobody's named Russell. So, Russell, you're in the same boat as I am. What caught your attention, gentlemen, this weekend?
I'm going to go with Vanderbilt basketball, who won their 5th straight game on Saturday. The Commodores are hot.
They are.
And they're winning these games at the buzzer. Ezra Manjon with the game-winning bucket to beat Auburn.
Say that 10 times.
Ezra Filet
Say 10 times in a row, man. You go mess it up.
It was almost the same play that beat Tennessee, except instead of kicking it to the corner, Manjon just laid it up and in. He had the assist on the buzzer beater against the Vols. He took it to the bucket in like 1.8 seconds on the clock, and they beat Auburn, their 5th straight win. Vanderbilt suddenly is 1 game back of Tennessee for that 4th spot to get a double bye in the SEC tournament.
Oh, my.
They're 8-6 in conference now.
And Tennessee's 9-5.
Yep.
Tennessee's got to go to A&M, who is 13-1 at home. That game's tonight. Vanderbilt's got to play LSU, a struggling LSU tomorrow. So if Tennessee can't take care of business and Vanderbilt stays hot, they're going to be sitting there knotted up with the conference record. Now, for Vanderbilt,
how much that would affect them in the SEC tournament? Like, who gets the double? I mean, whoa.
You're talking about, missing out on the double bye. Tennessee's in real danger of that right now. But for that to happen, because Auburn's also a game back of Tennessee, and they have the same conference record as Vanderbilt, either Auburn or Vanderbilt would have to have a better conference record than Tennessee. They would not have the tiebreaker because Tennessee split the regular season series with Vanderbilt. Tennessee will have the tiebreaker of beating the top team in the SEC in Alabama, which Tennessee did last Wednesday. So Tennessee will have the tiebreaker over Vanderbilt and Auburn, even if the Vols lose to Auburn in that regular season finale, because if they lose to Auburn, they will have split the regular season series just like they did with Vanderbilt. So Vandy or Auburn will have to be at least 1 game better than Tennessee in the conference schedule. But, I mean, Vols got to play A&M. They got to play Arkansas. They got to play Auburn. And then they have what should be a gimme at home against South Carolina. But Vanderbilt, man, like, you got to give them credit with the way that they've just kept on playing under Jerry Stackhouse. Liam Robbins been lights out.
All this since they just got their butts kicked.
That's their last loss.
Everything.
A 54-point loss against Alabama, or 56, whatever it was. 101-44 was the final, I think. I mean, just an absolute butt kicking, and Vanderbilt has not lost since then. Yeah. So that's what caught my attention over the weekend.
Man, sometimes that wake-up call and that butt kicking works in mysterious ways. Woke everybody up. And then now they believe that they can't lose. This is awesome. You got to anchor down for those guys, man. To stay steadfast, Stackhouse and crew. Yeah. It's big time, man. And nobody's even talking about them, even making the tournament. Don't they have some big wins, too?
Vanderbilt?
Team, I think a couple, right?
Well, Blake Lovell,
Tennessee, of course.
On Friday said they'd probably have to win out.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt. Unless they got just crazy hot in the SEC tournament, right, and made a championship run or something. They'd probably have to win out. But, man, wouldn't that be an accomplishment if Vanderbilt ended up in the NCAA tournament?
That would be crazy.
Looking at their next
stack extension look real smart. They were ahead of the curve.
Oh, they were calling for his head during the season, too, now this season.
Yeah.
Especially after that blowout.
They're at LSU tomorrow. They host Florida Saturday. Florida.
Who they beat? No.
Florida without Colin Castleton, who broke his hand the other week.
I think they beat him there.
They have not played Florida yet. Oh, no, they did. You're right. You're right, Bain. My bad. That's part of this win streak. 88-80. Put up 88 on Florida a couple weeks ago. So they have to play a Colin Castleton-less Florida, who they've already beaten. And then they go to Rupp Arena and they close out the regular season at home against a capable Mississippi State team. So those last 2 games are tough. But if Vanderbilt can take care of business this week, then you're talking about a 7-game win streak going into the final week of the regular season.
I think that would make them. Are they 15-12 right now? Would that make them 17? And I think are they?
Yeah, that Auburn win made them 15-12.
Okay. So they'd be 17-12, and they'd be 10-6 in the SEC. At some point, somebody would have to start talking about them. I mean, other than just us, like Lunardi.
Liam Robbins, double-double in that game, 24 and 12.
He's averaging 23 points a game during their 5-game win streak, Liam Robbins.
No, I told you, this guy's legit. He's an NBA player.
Yeah.
No, he's legit, man. And he can shoot threes. So, oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Lenardi's got Mississippi State as in the last 4 in at the moment, and Vanderbilt not in the discussion quite yet.
Oh, they like that. Just keep playing underdog. How about Tennessee going 4 for 4 from the free throw? 4 for 14.
4 for 14
from the free throw.
And I did the numbers. They are in the last 5 games. They're 62% from the line. Just has not been good. That part of their game has completely fallen off at the free throw line. Saturday was the worst, 4 of 14.
And all the, modern basketball people, the way you got to play now. Kentucky shot 8 threes in that game. 8 threes.
They hit
3 from 8. Or 3 of 8 from 3.
Wow. Well, what caught my attention is what everybody said A.J. Brown said. Some of the Titans run the same offense. They don't make any changes to the checks. Everything is still the same. He said he gave them the 4-1 to the Eagles defense and nothing. And he said nothing was different. It goes right into, you just execute. It doesn't matter if we know the play. They watched the film. He just told them all the little details of everything that was going on. Didn't really matter. That definitely caught my attention.
For people who don't know, how common is that, Blaine?
Being in the NFL, I think it's a lot more common than people think. I really don't think it really matters to a certain extent. I mean, when I went to Philly, they asked me all the things. I said, y'all not watching the tape? I said, I don't play the Tennessee Titans. I practice against them. And as everybody knows, you don't practice against the starting group when you're in the league. So I'm just practicing against the scout team. So I said, I don't know what they're doing, to be honest. I don't know their checks. I said, I may know some little nuances about them, but if you want to bring something to me, and then I'll tell you what I think. But as far as plays, But, I mean, everybody knows. I say that all the time, and people laugh. You know their core plays that they're running. It's about execution. So I don't think that's uncommon at all. Now, what people do is they change their checks. And I don't know why the Titans, you kind of do the opposite. Say one thing becomes something and it becomes the opposite of that. So they can't hone in, on your checks and changes at the line of scrimmage. But he said they ain't changed any of that.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you don't do it because you think it'll confuse your players. So at the end of the day, it's not surprising. It's just it's shocking that maybe he said it and went into detail, because I don't know how the question was asked, but I would seem like a question that had to be volunteered. Like, what was it like playing your former team? And then he kind of went into what he did throughout that week. But yeah, the Eagles, Andy Reid and the late great Jim Johnson asked me just general questions, but I didn't give them like some standard, let's sit down and we're going to go up. No. Yeah. They were asking, what was it like, Eddie George, Wycheck. They asked more of that. What are their, how good are they, and that. So I gave them, glowing reviews. I said, hey man, they were one of the best players on the team. So yeah, what you see is what you get. But I had another one though. This was a surprise, and this was for Lucas. This is former UT DB coach Derek Ansley, who is now with the Chargers as the DB coach, just got promoted to the DC of the Chargers because of the DC leaving, going with Vic Fangio to the Dolphins. And is actually, the title may be a little bit different because he won't be the DC there, because Vic Fangio will be the DC, but I think he's a passing game coordinator and DB coach or something like that. But yeah, opportunity, right place, right time.
Yeah, Ansley was Pruitt's defensive coordinator too at Tennessee.
Well, yeah, he was slash.
Not
DB
initially,
coach,
but he did become his defensive coordinator.
That's right.
Yeah, Staley's still calling the plays on defense with the Chargers, but yeah, that is a name I had not seen since the Pruitt era in Tennessee.
I didn't even know. I forgot he was even there though. I completely slipped
Ansley.
my mind.
Yeah, he was hired. Pruitt hired him he was the Raiders defensive backs coach when Pruitt hired him, and he came up in Alabama. Ansley's a good coach. I mean, Ansley's a really good defensive backs coach, and it clearly just keeps getting jobs in the NFL.
Yeah. So, yeah, good for him. That was kind of a shock. I said, dang, I know that name.
It's funny. I read it all and didn't put it together until you said it.
Yeah, because it's been a while. Yeah, so that's it. What caught my attention, man? Right
All
place, right time.
Yeah, that's big everywhere. Right place, right time. Somebody said this in the Zone TV chat. The G League guy winning the dunk contest, Lonzo. What caught my attention? A G Leaguer won the slam dunk contest. So this guy Mac McClung was like high school dunk, like YouTube sensation.
Yeah, we talked about it all yesterday.
So this dude that caught my attention. He has 2 games of NBA experience, none this year. One for the Bulls, one for Golden State. And I wanted to ask you guys this.
I mean, he's from Kingsport,
Yeah.
Tennessee.
That dude. So, G Leaguer, 2 games of NBA experience. He gets 4 dunks, 4 attempts. He made all 4 dunks, 3 perfect scores. I wanted to ask you guys this. At this point, has that run its course like the Pro Bowl? Should they just open it up to G Leaguers or stars from other sports or anything? Should it change into something different than what it is? Because
you flipped to the Pro Bowl? From the dunk contest, and now you're talking about the Pro Bowl.
Yes, because the Pro Bowl changed completely to a flag football game. The stars don't do the dunk contest anymore. They had to go to the G League to get this guy. Should they open it up to like Blaine Bishop could be in it, or they have a contest where people on YouTube
I said
to
yesterday these special dunkers across the nation that travel around, they should be in the contest versus the NBA players. That's what I said yesterday, and I'm gonna stick with that. Yeah. If you want to open it up to anybody, who are great dunkers, but that's kind of what I'm saying too. There's, these dunkers who are just high flyers and they're great jumpers. They're not great NBA type players. They don't have skill to their game. So this guys can jump out the gym higher than a lot of NBA players. Or you can even get some of the Harlem Globetrotters. Or open it up to people in the stands, as you mentioned. Yeah, I would be open to that.
I think
a lot of people were talking about LeBron James is the reason why the dunk contest has gone down. It's because he has never entered it, and he was the biggest star, and he should have done it when he was a young player, and he never did it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the big conversation that's really behind the scenes, that he is at fault for this. Because that made everybody else not really want to do it. And if they did it, they felt like, oh, I was forced, I'll do it this one time. And then as time's gone on, just like nobody, like why isn't Ja Morant in it? Like, think about that.
Sure.
He should be in it. Yeah. I mean, the things he is doing in game at his size is pretty remarkable. And then to do it in the dunk contest, I think he would be the favorite odds on if he entered.
Everybody would watch that. Because like you said, he does ridiculous stuff in the game over 7 foot tall people.
Like crazy.
He does crazy stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do it. Well, they need to figure something else out because Mac McClung's a good story, and I guess he's already been invited to do it next
he
year.
was awesome, too, by the way. I loved this stuff. He had me jumping off my couch, man. I was all in. Yeah, I was all in. As I said, Reggie Miller predicted he was going to win it, and everybody was laughing at him. Dude, he knew something that nobody else knew. I was like, whoo, this dude was awesome.
Tyler Blaine has your back. He said somebody asked Ja Morant how many likes it would take for him to do the dunk contest. His reply was 1 billion, meaning he ain't going to do it.
See? Yeah. See, so a lot of these superstar guys, they don't want to do it. I don't know if it's because it takes so much out of them. I have no idea. But, ja Morant would be must watch, wouldn't he be?
That's all it would take.
Yeah.
A guy like him, as Jael in the Zone TV chat says Zion. If Zion, if Zion was healthy enough to do it, we would all watch that too.
Go.
They're going to have to incentivize some stars to do it. Either that or just open it up to everybody, and we'll send Lucas up there and let him dunk.
Oh, man. They're saying A.J. Brown broke down the game film for him. Oh, my gosh. I have to say that I did not do that.
There's a clip we could play, but it would have a lot of bleeps. Have you sorted that down yet, Lucas, or no?
He was on his former teammates podcast, right?
Yeah, he was on the Raw
Bates?
Room with Darren Bates.
Yeah. I have not dove into that.
Okay, it would take a while to bleep it, but it's out there. He was on the Raw Room podcast and went through all the things that he said he told the Eagles the week before they played the Titans. And at the end of the particular clip, he said, I just told him, please don't hurt my guy, Ryan Tannehill. He said, I'm going to tell you everything, but please don't hurt Tannehill. So that's his guy. When we come back, I want to ask Blaine about a guy. You saw him play in college. You've seen him play in the pros. He's a free agent. He could help the Titans, but I want to ask what you think of him because he's a really versatile guy at the position he plays. I will ask you next. Blaine and Mickey, born to run through your afternoons from 1 to 3. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, this is Blaine's jam.
Yeah, this one too. Yeah, Lucas, you don't know all my jams.
I think he's figuring it out, though, slowly but surely.
Oh, man.
I think he's cracking the code.
I don't like it. That means I'm getting predictable.
All right.
I got a curveball.
This guy, here's a curveball for you. This guy was
some Kiss.
Number 20. Oh, play some Kiss. I'll be up dancing with Blaine like on that one. Number 22 on Pro Football Focus free agent list. That's what his number was. His contract projection.
Oh, this is the guy you want to ask me about what I think.
Football Focus is $8.5 million per year, 3 years, 25.5, 15.5 total guaranteed. Again, this is PFF Brad who did this.
Can we give a position like?
I'm about to.
You don't have to tell me his name, but just
Jordan
like position.
Dejani did a free agent list with one guy that our guy, JD, we can ask him about this tomorrow. He did a free agent list with one guy for every team, and this is the guy that he picked for the Titans. He was a 2017 third-round pick out of the University of Tennessee.
He picked him for the Titans?
Yes, as a free agent.
That they're going to sign him.
He played cornerback. Well, he's versatile. He played a little bit of everything. Came out of Tennessee.
You talking about Emmanuel Mosley?
Cam Sutton.
Oh, Cam Sutton. Yeah, he was with the Steelers.
Yep, been with the Steelers all this time.
Yeah.
Has, by everything, he plays inside, plays outside some, is versatile, has moved around some in his career. Now, you could probably speak to that much better than I could because you played on the back end like him back there on the defense. But he is affordable. They need cornerback help. We talked about him some last year when we were talking about free agents, and he stuck around with the Steelers for another year. What do you think about Cam Sutton? He is officially, his contract is voided. At Tennessee, he had some void years, or at Pittsburgh, he had some of those void years on the end where they just stack up your bonus, cap hit and send it down the road a couple.
I thought he was just a free agent.
He is a free agent now.
But I mean, that has nothing to do with it. Your contract's up.
Yeah. Well, they wrote him. He had that like the dummy years on his contract, but it was a 1-year deal and he's done. Free agent.
So what was the number?
PFF had his number at 8.5 per. 8.5 per 3 years, 25.5. Spot Track actually had his number for 3 at 7.5. Even less.
That is a type of player that I would be interested in. I'd love to go watch some game film of him. Naturally, I remember him at Tennessee where he played all outside. Really good player, solid player. Only thing that I doubt and question, I think would be a good signing. And when I say good, I mean solid. He's not going to be something spectacular. He's just going to be a good NFL starting, whatever they have him, inside out. I like the versatility. I love that.
Yep.
Only thing I question on him is his deep end speed, really. And that probably goes back to my time, even when he came out of college. But he was such a technician, even in college. I really loved how he played. I can remember vividly him playing there at Tennessee. So, yeah, I would do that. Here's my whole thing. It's not just about Cam Sutton. I would sign a whole bunch of players that are mid-level players like Cam Sutton on offense and defense if I'm trying to get over him, because those guys are going to be the crux of really what gets you there. It's the superstar, super athletic guy or just the quarterback that can kind of get you over the hump. But these guys are the guys you ride to. They can take you to a winning season because they're still hungry. They're not the big name person, but they're really good NFL players. So I would like to amass my team like that all over the place on offense and defense and special teams, and then strategically have star players like at pass rusher, wide receiver, the quarterback naturally, my left tackle. These are the premier positions that they pay the money to, so you must have high flight type players in these positions if you want to have success. You notice how I did not say running back. I did not say running back. I would do the exact same thing at running back. I would have 3 really good players at running back. A la like the Eagles. Yeah, they had 3 running backs. You couldn't tell them. They are all just good running backs. They weren't special by any means. Even the Chiefs running back by committee. I like the McKinnon guy. I saw that he's a free agent. I like him. I really like, guess what, you're going to be interested in this, especially Vrabel. I love the way he blocks. Yeah. he brings the hammer. I saw him deplete middle linebackers trying to blitz. I'm like, dang, man, what's this dude's size?
He's not very big.
Yeah, I'm like, dude. See, so notice
Yeah.
the guys that I like. Hayden Hurst, if I keep bringing his
I
name
know
up.
you like him.
Guess what? When you turn on the tape, even grown men get intimidated and be like, hey, man, this dude is not playing. And when you go do that to another grown man that's an athlete like that, hey, man, that speaks volumes. And that tells you who he is. And he didn't do nothing illegal. He did it straight on board. Bang. And so those are the guys I want. And he's not a high-priced guy either. Theoretically in the NFL, he's under $10 million.
Oh, gosh, yes.
So, hopefully that's right. So I would assemble really the majority of my team, if I can, in free agency with guys like that because they bring this edge to them. And I would say I was in that bucket, that they want to get somewhere and they're always driven, they're always focused, and they pay attention to the details. You're going to get that kind of – you can't make it in this league without. So that's kind of, I like that guy. He may not be the first guy, and it may be like guys like him, may wait just to see how it all plays out. Maybe you can even get him for cheaper. Just depends, because there's a whole bunch of guys around the league like him. Mm-hmm. But he's proven, and so, I like him. I still question his deep end speed, though. I like to see some film of him running vertically with some fast guys. But other than that, there's nothing else. Nothing else I can say negative that in my thought off the cuff. Nothing.
I thought you'd find him interesting. Dejani, we can ask him about this tomorrow. Jordan Dejani will be our guest, but he matched one free agent with every team, and he matched Sutton with the Titans.
Did he?
I thought, he's versatile, Blaine. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna ask to hit.
Now, if you want to go all in on cornerbacks and you want to play a high flight guy, I think this year, and I'm gonna ask Coach Mack. It's probably a little early to tell. I think this is going to be a year of trading, and I'm not talking about outside of quarterback. I think guys are going to get moved around because maybe you're a veteran guy who still have enough in the tank, like a Keenan Allen, or even maybe, because this is what I'm thinking of, high price though, maybe even a Jalen Ramsey. So I think guys like this are going to get moved around even outside of quarterbacks this year because they're not going to be able to get that from the draft this year in certain positions. So it's going to be interesting. Everybody just thinks about the quarterbacks, but I think this year may be a little different. We shall see, though. I could be wrong because it doesn't happen a lot in the NFL. I saw Jared Jeudy may be a potential trade candidate. And I go, oh, well, everybody says you want speed. I want to see what he looks like. Why hasn't he had success? I know he had some injury issues. I know he hurt his ankle. I watched one game. I saw him get hurt. So I loved him in college, but does it translate into pros? Why hasn't he had more success? So I need to go look in his stats and everything else. And, it was a tough situation last year with Russell Wilson and the whole staff there. So kind of look at that and go, well, man, maybe this guy's got a little more upside than you think. And would he be a good fit? And what would you have to give up to get a guy like that? Still young, still in his first contract. See, those are the kind of guys you're kind of looking for that may be available, and you can jumpstart and get your team right where you want him. Now you gotta have to give up collateral. How about this? I give up next year's like 4th round pick or something, not this year. So that may not be a go.
I don't know.
Next year, not this year. Next year, I gotta make sure I got a good product on the field this year. They're gonna be like, hang up.
All right. What are Ramsey's cap hits for next year? We'll get into that next. If you want to trade for him, because Twitter search his name and see what comes up. He could very well be on the move. What would you have to pay him under his current contract structure? And what would you be willing to trade for him? Let's get into that next. Blade and Mickey, 1045 The Zone, 615-737-1045.
It is 2:03. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. Tonight, Tennessee basketball looks to remain in the top 4 in the SEC standings. Vols currently the number 11 team in the country, heading down to play number 25, Texas A&M. It is a 6 p.m. tip-off. You can hear the Vol Network call right here on The Zone. The Nashville Predators set to round out their homestand. They host the Vancouver Canucks at Bridgestone Arena. Nashville is now 7 points out of the second wild card spot in the Western Conference. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. at Bridgestone Arena. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once, and you're home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
I have. Blaine and Mickey went up 4-5 The Zone. Hour 2 of the show. Coach Mack's going to join us in about 20 minutes, so you can stick around for that. So Blaine brought up the idea. We're kind of playing musical chairs here with some Titans this offseason. Cam Sutton, the former Vol, is a free agent. Jordan DeJani, our buddy who will join us tomorrow on the show, did a free agent match, and he matched Cam Sutton with the Titans. So right as we go off the air, Blaine drops the Jalen Ramsey bomb. What about Ramsey? If
I said Jared Judy, too. I was trying to be up offense and defense. Just
one for each, 2 equal bomb drops there. Well, Jalen Ramsey is the name that comes up a lot on, social media with all these accounts that cover the NFL and just kind of throw out, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? So Jalen Ramsey's cap numbers, were you to acquire him, he had 2 really low base salaries for the Rams in 2020 and 21. His number really started to go up in year 3. Here's what he is set to make for the final 3 years of his contract.
Now, this is a superstar number, I'm sure, because he's a great player, but what would it cost the Titans besides probably some form of a pick unless he got released?
So the Rams would, again, all the dead money would go back to them, and they may want to wait till after June 1st to do this because it spreads out the cap number. Here's his numbers, though, for the team that were to trade for him. Jalen Ramsey, $17 million, $14.5, and $15.5.
That doesn't sound that big to me.
Not that out of line to you.
No, I think just imagine this. Robert Woods is making 12. And you just said 14 was one of the numbers, didn't you?
17, 14.5, and 15.5.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna be like in the 20 range.
No.
Oh, no, I'm cool with that.
I ask you, physically, you see anything different with him? You said nope.
Nah, not really. I just think he gets a little undisciplined with his eyes, and he looks in the backfield a lot. Like that's his main issue. But when he's on, he is on. I mean, he's shut down. But there's times where he's a little undisciplined with his eye control. Yeah, I can remember plays right off the top where he was undisciplined. Sometimes it's just on plays, individual plays in a game, but it was happening a little more than I would like. But this past season, I thought he was a little bit better. It seems like he's much more focused when he plays a high flyer, big name wide receiver than if he plays somebody just a good player in the league that starts. And I'm just going to say that's how I feel. And then I see this guy catching balls on him, and I'm like, well, he shouldn't have caught that. You were looking in the backfield thinking they weren't going to throw to your side. So you gotta coach that out of them. Now, some coaches, once you get paid like that, they don't want to critique you in the film room. So to me, then you kind of critiquing one-on-one to a certain extent. Have a conversation with him so he don't feel offended. Everybody's looking up to him, and that a guy like that's probably got a huge ego. And I love for him to come home. There's no doubt about it. I wanted the Titans to draft him. I knew it was going to be impossible when he went to the Jags, but I just know, how athletic, and I followed his career from his days from middle school to high school and everything in between there at Florida State, how he broke into their lineup, being you from Tennessee and you going to Florida State in Florida. But they was looking at you cross-eyed like, man, you don't play no ball like you do here in Florida.
And for people with
He was
short-term
like,
memory,
oh, yeah, I do.
he played for national championship Florida State.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he got into the lineup, I think, more as a safety at that time, and then they moved him in the slot. Then he went to the outside. This guy is multifaceted, so he could play wherever the best receivers at. You put him there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he can do it all. And all those are really hard, by the way, because they all bring something different to the table. So And if you're just going to say, hey, we want you to take care of the shutdown outside corner, wherever side he goes, you go, hey, I'll be for it. But I don't know if the Titans are really in that kind of situation. I love for it to happen because there's a lot of rumors that he's going to the Dolphins. And I'm like, well, dang, if he's available, why can't he go to the Titans?
Here's a trade, Pro Football Focus, a potential trade idea that was pitched for Ramsey to the Dolphins. So they're believing what you're believing. It says Ramsey and a 2023 fifth-round pick, and the Dolphins would trade 2 seconds, 2023 and a 2024. Would you trade 2 seconds for Ramsey and a fifth? 2 seconds for Ramsey.
As much as I love him, I just don't think they can give up anything in collateral this season. It's just going to be hard. I mean, you're trying to accumulate players for the future, and that'd be tough one there. But you never know. You just never know. 2 seconds. I don't know. I just can't do it. And I just think this is a player I love and I want on the team. And that's just hard to think about their situation and where they're at. You say, we can get, hopefully, maybe in the second round, the next, maybe. Poor man's Jalen Ramsey. So that's what happens.
You've seen it.
What about Jared Jeudy, though? I'm like, what? Jared Jeudy, I know he got injured. I saw him hurt his ankle, but I mean, he was phenomenal at Alabama, and I haven't watched him closely in the league. I don't know his numbers off the top, but he still has to be better than what they have. And when I say they, that means the Titans. And he's still young. He's been in the league 2 or 3 years.
2021, 22. So he's been in the league 3 years.
2021, 22.
Yep. He's been in the league 3 years. This will be his 4th year in the league.
So you're getting motivated. Maybe close to contract year in a couple years, right? Because he was a first-round pick, I'm assuming. So you get 4th and 5. So you have to, maybe give him a long-term deal. I don't know. But, yeah. I'd be interested. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is I think it's going to be more trade year in this league, and maybe the Titans won't be players in this, but to get certain players. Because if not, then it makes you start considering, are we better off just keeping Robert Woods? And that's what I'm getting to. Because then all of a sudden, now you're going to, only reason why you wouldn't is say, well, we're going to get somebody for $7-8 million that's just as good. And he brings, leadership skills. But, hey, man, I told you, I'm rebuilding. People are scared of that road, and the word. But
that's a nasty word around.
Yeah, but I get it. But no, I got to reboot and restart everything that's going on the offense with the offensive line and my receiving core. There was nothing. I mean, absolutely, that's tough. I mean, even Robert Woods, as much as I respect him in this game, he was coming off an ACL. He was not the same player. Maybe eventually down at the end of the season. So we don't know what he will be next year after 1 year removed from the ACL. So he could be back to pace where he was before the injury. Because this guy was running reverses. This guy was a multifaceted player. And then once again, you sign somebody injured coming off an ACL, you don't know what you're going to get. You just don't know. And just think, he got injured in like November, and he played from the beginning. He was even doing mini camp.
We sat out and watched him practice.
And I thought he should not be practicing. I kept on saying he should not be practicing. I wouldn't be practicing. But he was on a new team. He's excited. He's trying to prove something that goes into all of that. But you got to, and I think Dupree was the same way. And that's why he constantly got injured, because he shouldn't have been out there running around. He said, I'm fine. And part of it is the athlete, too. I'm not going to just blame the Titans. Is they think they're ready to go, and they want to prove that they're worth what they were given in the contract. I mean, you get $80 million, dudes looking around like, hey, man, you just going to sit around here and just chill? No, man, I'm ready to go. I've been working.
Here's a story about Jerry Jeudy from last fall. He was available for trade in October and November of this past season. He wasn't traded because no one was willing to give Denver what it would take to get him.
But they was asking for, what, a 1 and a 3 or something?
Well, it doesn't say, but that sure tells you they were asking for. What would you give up for Jerry Jeudy? Did you give a 1 for him?
Mm-mm.
No?
2
and a 3. No 1, but a 2 and a 3.
Mm-mm.
No? 2 and a 4?
Mm-mm.
2 in an anything. A 2 at all.
3.
I don't think the Broncos are going to take
Because
their
here's my
call.
whole thing. If you're getting rid of him, why are you getting rid of him? There's something you don't like about him. So whatever that is, and I'm thinking it's always going to be on field.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go through and dive through all of his games, and I'm like, well, I don't see anything. So yeah, and I saw one time he was pissed at a game because I was watching Russell Wilson because I want to see like, man, how bad is he?
Yeah.
And it was a game that was televised. He was yelling at them for not throwing him the freaking ball. One time he was coming to the sideline. Guess what? Some people look at that and be like, oh man, we can't have that doing to you. Guess what I see? Oh, that guy wants it. He wants it because it was the way he went at it. He was like, "No, man, no, he should have threw me the ball. I'm the number one target, and he didn't even look, and I'm wide open." So yeah, get him the ball. Then what happened, Russ? So I like that. That's kind of a lot of people. Yeah, and it wasn't like he was doing it every play. That was the one occasion that I saw. So yeah.
He was 67 for 972 and 6 touchdowns, and he averaged 14.5 yards per catch last year.
Yeah, almost 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
With Russell Wilson playing horrific.
In a season that was so bad, the head coach, who was the offensive coordinator, got himself fired. That's what that guy did with that and Russell Wilson.
Well, guess who would have some insight? Somebody on the Titans staff.
Who might that be?
His name is Alton. Or what? How you say his name?
No, I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah, because he's Alton Jared Judy.
That's official today, by the way.
Oh, Alton is official.
Yep.
Yeah,
All
he
right.
will tell you
Titans.
all you need to know. Player, personality, all of it. There you go. And get him on a rookie deal.
He's on, and if you can still pick up his 5th-year option.
Got
You
2
get
years
2 more
with him.
years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You got to make that happen pretty quick, though. We got to make this happen pretty quick. We got to take a break. Coach Mack knows about a lot of people. We can ask him about all this stuff. The Mack Attack is coming up next. Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. Hear that music, you know what that means. Time for the Mac Attack. Coach Dave McGinnis.
Come on.
See, Lucas is getting him dialed in here on the phone. He'll be on in just a second. Combine coming up next week. We know Coach Mac's going to be
It's
there.
next week.
Next week. Feb 28 is when it starts.
At 28.
Feb 28.
You going down there? I think Robert's going. Then you going to the combine.
I would love to just have Robert there and have him write up like capsules on all the prospects and the way that Robert does things.
No, I want him to do every event. Every event. I want him to be an O lineman one day. I want him to be a wide receiver another day, and then just go through all the testing. Just see how you test out, man. And then I want to see your awesome vertical, just like DK Metcalf did his, edited film and jumped up there and caught one-hand pass. You better watch out, because if you do that, they may call you in to do the PED test. Because that's what they did with DK Metcalf.
Well, let's bring in Coach Mac for the Mac Attack. I see we got him dialed in. Coach, combine season is here. It starts next week.
Oh, my.
We're discussing this. How many of these things have you been to in a row?
Just two.
This will be my 37th.
Ooh, Coach, you've been there every single year that you coached on. There's no way not to miss it, right?
They started it, when I was in Chicago. I've been to every one since then.
Since 85. I'm assuming.
86.
86. Do you have a favorite part of it, like the event that you like the most, or did you like what did you like the most about the combine as a coach, and then what do you like about the most of it now that you're more on the media side of things?
Well, it's completely different, with what I'm doing now. When you're coaching and you're involved in it, and especially the different levels. When you're an assistant coach, it's different because you just go the days that that your position is there, and then you leave. When you're an assistant head coach or you're a coordinator, and clearly a head coach, when you're a coordinator, you go when the whole defense is there, so you're staying through the defensive workouts, the several days there, back to back to back to back. When you're an assistant head coach and a head coach, you're there the whole time. So, I was there the whole time for 15 years. I like all of it, but I think that you have to categorize some of it. I've seen it change so much since we first started, since the Wild West rodeo days where you were grabbing people at the hotel just randomly and hiding them in your room so nobody else could talk to them, from now as highly organized, as it is, as to where guys have placards on their neck and have 15-minute intervals where they're going. I mean, I've seen this thing evolve. I spent 7 years on the floor, running the linebacker drills.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's a different aspect of it too. So I've done it all there. I've seen it gone from, everybody sitting in the stands to then everybody having a suite. So the thing has changed a lot.
Who put on the single best combine that you ever remember?
Well, there's been some athletic freaks.
Yeah, that's for sure, boy. Woo.
I mean, but I was there when I saw Dion walk in and put his chain in his mouth and run 4-2-0 and run right out the stadium at the old dome, and it was over.
That was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Coach Mac giving us the Mac Attack. Better rates, better coverage, better service. That's why Tennesseans have been relying on Farm Bureau health plans for their health coverage for 75 years. And we rely on Coach Mac every Tuesday for the Mac Attack.
Yeah, we rely on him for everything when it comes to the draft. That's for sure. Coach, when you
let me say something here, Blaine, before you
that?
start. When we were on the combine a little bit, you and I have talked about this a little bit previously, but just it's interesting to me. And I think both of you guys would know the conference that there's 319 players there this year. That the conference there, most of them are coming from. You guys know where it is. It's the Southeastern Conference.
Right.
But the teams that have the most players there this year, this won't take long here. Alabama has 13 invitees.
Ooh.
Georgia has 12. Florida has 9. LSU has 9. Okay. Michigan and TCU both have 9. Now, They were in the final runnings, in the tournament this year. Then you've got Clemson and Ohio State have 8, Maryland and Oklahoma 7 apiece, Penn State 7, and the Vols have 7. That's the top groups that have number of players at the combine this year.
Well, that's great for the Vols, because I remember they would have something when they had nobody there some years ago here, but good. That's great, man. SEC dominant in football, that's for sure. Well, Coach,
just dominant. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SEC teams that are in the top 10 of numbers of players. Now, what that means is you've got that many draft eligible players that are invited to the combine, which just tells you, and we all know this because this is where we live and this is what we live on here. The Southeastern Conference is a beast, and it's getting ready to get more beastly because Oklahoma's right in there with 7-2, and they're a Southeastern Conference team now too.
Yeah, with them and Texas both coming. Yeah, Coach, this is why I would never pursue being a GM, because I've said here numerous times that I would only draft in the SEC. So if I'm the Titans GM, I'm only drafting the SEC because I feel like I'm hitting them overhead. And you can't be that small-minded. Naturally, there's always going to be some outliers. But you're also hitting it over the head with attendance and familiarity with players in the Titan Stadium. There are a lot of people who this is a melting pot for the SEC when they graduate and get jobs. So that was kind of what led me to that about 5 years ago. So, but I know that you can't live by that. As a coach, when you were the head coach, when you were drafting, so this is when you were at Arizona, were you drafting for need or best player available?
Well, when I was the head coach at Arizona, first of all, when I took the job over, we had to clear a salary cap that was in dire shape. It took 3 years to clear the cap. And let me just say this about the cap at that time. There was no floor to the cap. So they could spend as little as they needed to if they didn't have money. And that before that stadium was built, that group did not have money. So that was a different world of clearing that cap. So I could not – I had to draft on need because I needed players, okay? I just needed players, a lot of players. And so, at some of the places that I've been, where you've been able to – when I was at the Rams, when we drafted Aaron Donald – at the 13th pick, we took the best player on our board at that time. Okay, that was the best player on the board at that time. Number 13 pick, and so I've done it. I've been involved in drafts over my 37 drafts where we've done it both ways.
Let me ask you that because then some fans, and I want to hear it too myself. Like, what made your team at the time? How were you able to draft the best available player? And then why didn't you take, position need? Was your team in a different spot and where you could actually do that?
Yes, we were in a different spot. So I said, when I was at Arizona, we needed you could have thrown a dart at a dartboard and whatever position it hit, we needed it. Okay,
gotcha.
At that time. Some of the other places I've been at different times in their development, you could specify and hone in. Now, if the position and the grade didn't match up at the time you were drafting, I've never in any of the drafts overreached for a position, and overreached a grade. You know what I'm saying, Blaine? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Overreaching means like a guy that's maybe a late first round, you're taking at 11, or a guy's a second round, you're kind of reaching for him. It's just taking him too soon, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so. Well, how far you are with your draft board, or at least with the O-lineman, because that's where I'm going with this, with the O-lineman.
Well, let me go to the O-lineman. Let me tell you what I've done because, first of all, we're going to do 2 days live, wall to wall with Titans Radio draft coverage. So that, to me, that's what, I tried to hone in on first. And then, I've got thumbnails and some viewed films on most of these guys at the combine right now. Now I'm in the process of going down in and refining. But you asked me about the offensive lineman. Okay. So I think what I've got here, not I think, I know, and this isn't I haven't drafted anybody in 6 years. Okay. Right. But
I was just going to have you compare two different players on the same team.
No. Let's do that. You want to go offensive tackle first, the way I've got them? As far as the days I think they'll come off, you want to do that?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about the Paris Johnson Jr. kid compared to the DeJuan Jones, both of them from Ohio
Paris
State. Kind of compare those two.
Paris Johnson Jr. is a better player right now.
Okay.
I mean, he's a more accomplished player. He's got better feet. He's got better technique. DeJuan Jones is a monster. Okay. Paris Johnson Jr. 6'7", 308. We'll find out the real stuff, when we after I come back from the combine, that all the true measurements. But DeJuan Jones is 6'8", 375. Now there's a huge mass there. There's a lot there, but there's a lot of technicality there, Blaine, when you start to look at him as far as just a big, massive guy. But his footwork and the way that his top, syncs up with his bottom is different. I still think. I think here's the difference to me. I think Paris Johnson Jr. will be way in the top half of the first round. I think that DeJuan Jones will be at the top of the second day. That's the way I see him.
Do you see the two Tennessee linemen? I'm gonna say two. Wanya Morris, who's Oklahoma, and then I think it's Wright. Yeah, Darnell Wright. Where do you see them?
I see Darnell Wright as to what he's done since the Senior Bowl. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes out of the combine. Just all the medicals and everything that comes out of that. I could see Darnell Wright with the way that he played. First of all, let me say this, because I'm very familiar with the SEC, as most of us are, but doing that coach-to-coach show with Doug Matthews, in depth for 20 weeks, Darnell Wright moving from the left to the right tackle at Tennessee this year really helped him a lot. And I could see him being, somewhere at the bottom to right at the bottom of the first, top of the second round. And then Wanya Morris, I see Wanya Morris probably going into probably the end of the second day.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, give us a little nugget. Last question on O-lineman for me until I throw it over to Mickey, and that is, give us a middling player that you think he's got some upside to him, kind of underrated. Let's say middle round guy, third, fourth round guy that could potentially be a starter sooner than people think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me look at
maybe a couple guys you got like that, but yeah.
You hear me going through this notebook.
Yeah.
It's about Jalen Duncan from Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
6'6", 315 is an offensive tackle, number 50. Here's another guy that's very interesting to me, Tyler Steen from Alabama.
Yeah.
6'5", 315. And then
he was Vandy guy then, right? He transferred. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And then there's another guy here that I kind of like, and the more that I watch him, I'm kind of getting to where I like him a little bit more. Is another Chattanooga moccasin.
McClendon.
Yes, McClendon.
Curtis.
Yeah, there's your three right there.
Gotcha. We're on with Coach Mack, giving us the Mack attack during the Seasons of Lies. Yes, Coach, season of lies.
I'm not telling you any lies. I promise where the lies are going on now.
Not by Coach Mack, but when you start trying to position yourself for draft, I think that's when the season of lies starts. And that's the beginning.
No doubt. And I tell you where else the lies come from. And again, I don't pay any attention to it. You guys have to, because you've got to talk for a lot of hours a day on the radio all week. Is that, when you got all these mock drafts coming out, or these people that are making up these trades that could happen, and who's going to trade for what, and then, that's where the lies come in.
I got to ask you this, Coach, because, again, I guess we'll talk to you technically again before this. Well, actually, the day we talk to you, everything will be getting started. It'll be next Tuesday. It'll be the first day of the combine.
Yeah, when we talk on Tuesday, though, the workouts don't start till Thursday.
Yes.
Oh,
right?
man.
It'll just be the first round of guys getting their medicals done and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, the medicals and the interviews will have started. With a lot of the people, both the team interviews and then the interviews with the media that's there. But they've made it a little different this year. Just for our listeners, real quick. It starts on Thursday, March 2nd. But, last year they had most all of those workouts in prime time.
Yes.
So they started later in the evening. Now they're all going to start at 2 o'clock Central.
Oh.
Thursday and Friday is going to be 2 o'clock Central. And then Saturday with the defensive linemen and the linebackers. And then Sunday, March 5th, they're all going to start at noon. So they've taken them out of that prime time late slot for television.
Blaine and Mickey will be talking about that live on the air then. Hey, I wanted to ask you, I know we got plenty of time to talk about specific players. There's a guy named Lucas Van Ness. He's from Iowa.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's shown up in a couple of mock drafts at 11 for the Titans. And I know you can take mock drafts and use them as kindling or whatever, but he's an interesting name to me, showing up at 11, pass rusher, outside rusher. Well, Have you had a chance to look at him any?
Yeah, absolutely, I have, and he's a guy that is a really, really high motor player, really high motor player. He's a guy that is when you look at him and start trying to break him down. I'm trying to go through my notebook right here. I got 319 guys in this book, so bear with me just a minute.
It's all right.
Going down here and looking at him, but he has started to rise. Now that's a great example, though, Mickey, of what I'm talking about when I start talking about people trying to project where somebody will go right now. And a lot of times you and I know you guys do, and this is for your listeners so that they can be very, very dialed in to what really goes on. A lot of times those guys that start, rising and going through this time here, that's somebody just throwing stuff on the wall to see what will stick.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And that to me makes a big difference, with what's going on. But Van Ness is a guy, because of the production that he had there and because of the motor that he plays with, and you don't find a lot of hickeys on him. That's why a lot of guys he's started to rise, right now at this point. And you're going to see a lot of that, but it's all going to sift itself out after the combine, and then the next phase of it is it's going to start sifting itself out even more after the school workouts have gone on. But I can see why Van Ness would – now, somebody mocking him to the Titans at 11, I promise you, Rand Carthon has not told anybody who he's going to draft.
Oh, sure. Well, for me, it's just his name has started to show up even down that low in some other mock drafts. So, my thing is, okay, the motor thing always comes up about him, but I didn't know, what else you might have noticed about him. Coach Mack, our guest here, giving us the Mack attack on Blaine and Mickey.
Yeah, well, Coach, how much when you're when you're a coach and you're going through the process of the draft, when you're looking at the draft, knowing free agency is next, how much are you kind of planning for that and maybe some cap casualties as well as free agency on top of the combine? How are you managing through all that as a coach, or is it more so scouting department doing that?
Yeah, well, see, as a coach, let's talk about two different types of coaching.
Got you.
As a head coach, okay, you're right now, what you're deciding is with your general manager, who you're, how your cap's going to form out, who you're going to keep, who you're not going to have. All of that stuff is starting to be solidified before you get to the combine and worked out.
And who may be available.
And then, correct. And then sometimes now, as a position coach, you really have nothing to do, zero to do with the cap to begin with, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is as a position coach right now, you have just gotten in the last month, you've just gotten a list from your personnel people, the people they want you to look at and take a look at least three tapes, preferably 5, on these guys they want you to focus on in your position, and then even focus more on the guys that you've turned the list into the combine to interview. All right? And so that's what you're doing as a position coach. You're familiarizing yourself with who these people are technically on tape, because you haven't done that during the season. Mm-hmm. That's not what you do. That's what your scouting department does. So it's completely different, as to where you are as a head coach. I mean, right now you're deciding with your GM, as I said, who's going to be on your team, or who you think might be, or who you're going to have to restructure, or who you may have to let go. All of those things, because free agency and the salary cap are paramount right now for everybody. Because the March date's coming up when you've got to be under the cap. The other thing that happens is, as a coordinator, you look at your side of the ball, but a lot of things that are pointed now made for coaches, they have gotten a list from their personnel department. They are drilling in on people in their position, because they not only want to look at these people, then they are asked to put together tapes, so that they can watch them in these interviews with the players to point out good and bad, and to ask specific questions in that 15-minute room interview as far as about why you did this, why you did that, what would you do here, all of those things. So that's where the coaches are right now.
Got you.
Coach, fantastic stuff. We'll catch up with you next week. Again, the combine will be getting started then, and then, we're just off and running in this off season. Thanks for the time today.
Guys, I always enjoy talking ball with you two. See you.
Yes, sir. Goes both ways. Coach Mack with the Mack Attack. All right, when we come back, if you guys remember, there was a murder in Tuscaloosa back in January. It involved some members of the Alabama basketball team. There's new details that kind of ties some of it locally. We'll tell you what's going on next. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. So a really sad story out of Tuscaloosa back in January. There was a young lady who was shot and killed in an altercation on the Tuscaloosa Strip is the area where it's described if you've been in Tuscaloosa. And Lucas Panzica, I know you were kind of monitoring this, and while Blaine and me were talking in the previous segment, you had said there's some breaking news on this. So this is from AL.com. So it says, here's the headline: Alabama's freshman basketball standout Brandon Miller, who is a local young man from Antioch, who's a freshman and just doing unbelievable things on the court at Alabama this year. It says he brought the gun that was used on the Tuscaloosa Strip killing of a woman that led to capital murder charges for his two now former teammates, Darius Miles and Michael Buzz Davis, according to law enforcement testimony today. It says Miles and Miller asked him to bring his gun to where they were, according to police. And then the story kind of picks up there, I guess, with some exchanges they had. But I was asking you, was any of this out before? And you said all of this is now new information, correct?
Everything regarding Brandon Miller is new. Now, the only former teammate involved of Miller's is Miles.
Right.
So Michael Davis did not play for Alabama at any point. Darius Miles was on Alabama's roster when this all took place.
Right, they kicked him off immediately, right?
Right. They had just beaten LSU or something the day of, a home game in Tuscaloosa. But yeah, so that's the new element of all this, is that Miller's car, there were gunshots on his windshield. His car was near the site of the crime. Miller apparently provided the gun for Miles and Davis, that is every detail regarding Brandon Miller being involved is new.
Well, what were you saying the coach said, though? Nate Oates.
Yeah, Nate Oates is drawing some criticism for his comments today. Now,
here's the comment from him, Nate Oates, and I was thinking of Jaden Bradley was also there,
right? Yes,
but I guess not charged with anything.
Yeah. Well, before you say that, the Tuscaloosa Chief Deputy DA, Paula Whitley, said when she was asked about why Brandon Miller was not charged, she said, "That's not a question I can answer. There's nothing we could charge him with."
According to the law, she said. So Nate Oates got asked about this with Miller. He said about him being involved. He said, "We knew about that. We can't control everything everybody does outside of practice. Nobody knew that was going to happen. College kids are out. Brandon hasn't been in any type of trouble, nor is he in any type of trouble in this case. Wrong spot at the wrong time."
So he provided the gun? Well, or that's his gun? Lucas, do we have detail on that or no?
It's his. So I believe it was Miller's gun. So that's the question in all this, right? Like, is the gun legal? And it appears as though it is. And it's not clearly, there's not a thought that Miller brought the gun with the intention of they're going to use it for this.
It doesn't matter about the intent. It's about that it was used. That one there, man. Ooh-wee. I don't know about that. I don't know the law, but that doesn't sound right for me. And prayer says this, first of all, to this young lady here. I mean, and you saying it was because they just kind of wanted to go out with the lady or something. Somebody did and dating. And she said, "No, I'm already dating somebody." Or, oh my,
that seems to be the gist of it. Of the two guys that are in custody now for the shooting, that there was. The ordeal began. Harris's mother, DeCarla Hurd, told AL.com the ordeal began when the suspects started trying to talk to Harris, who told them she had a boyfriend and wasn't interested.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
So, and the young lady wound up deceased
unfortunate
by the end of the night. Yeah.
Oh my. Ooh-wee.
So no charges at this time for Brandon Miller, just the new information that his gun was the one involved, and also that his car had been included and had a couple of, I guess, gunshot holes in the windshield. Certainly, is any of this changes, we'll keep you posted. If there's anything new, 3HL will have you covered up next if any new details come out from there. But that is the